This is Life Transformation Radio. Prepare to engage. Seatbelt activated. Download initiated. Your quantum journey of transformation begins in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Life Transformation Radio. Hi, I'm Rob Actis, best-selling author of The Law of Action, voice actor, business mindset coach, the podcast whisperer, and Mr. Action himself. Here at Life Transformation Radio, we are committed to share more about real life, love, the power of positivity, romance, and of course, laughter. We care about helping others find their internal drive and purpose, and we celebrate life's challenges and overcoming them. On the show, my guests are incredible, amazing people who are forces for good in the world around them and live a life of transformation. My guest today does just that. Today, my guest and new friend, Troy Horne, and I discuss how the mind can achieve whatever it conceives. So, if you want to learn to understand how your mind can achieve what you believe, and learn that you must love yourself first in order for you to fully live your best life, this is the show for you. Troy is a dad, husband, Broadway performer, multiple six-figure entrepreneur coach who really genuinely loves to help people realize their dreams and live the life that they were meant to live through business building and, of course, dream catching. My man, Troy, welcome to Life Transformation Radio.
Oh, thank you, sir. How are you?
I'm good. It's so great to have you here. I'm excited about this interview and this conversation because, one, I just love what you're up to. One of the things that Troy does is he works with young people.
I do.
And I think that is just really incredible. But, let's just go down the story of transformation for you.
Nice.
So you're on Broadway.
Yes. Yeah, it was cool. It was very cool.
That is an incredible accomplishment because so many people want to be on Broadway. I want to be on Broadway, And so the question I have for you, and how did that occur? Like, what was the path? Like, is it something that you decided when you were like, we talk about dream catcher. Did you catch a dream when you were just a child, when you're just a little one and you said, I want to be an actor, I want to perform on Broadway? Or how did this happen?
Yeah. So, I was in Los Angeles, and this is a funny thing about, we're talking about the mind can achieve whatever it can conceive. I was in Los Angeles. I was, I just, gotten released from my record deal contract, which was, kind of a whole other story. I was performing and doing music stuff in LA, and
I love that whole other story. I'm going to have to take you back and let's talk about that transformation. Is that one of those painful ones?
Yeah, not really. It was like it's interesting. You look back at the whole journey, and man, as an adult, you look back, you go, man, I just kind of glossed over a whole big moments in my life that I should have been really enjoying the journey, but I was so focused on how do we get to the pinnacle that a lot of times you miss the whole journey. But so I was working in LA and not seeing my kid or my wife a lot, and I just wanted to work full time in music, but also have time to be with my family, which is kind of like a big thing for me because my dad was a truck driver, so he was like always on the road. So my thing as a child was like, I want to be able to be to do what I love, but also have time with my family. Long story short, I'm like, I had a day off. And so at the time they had Backstage West. I don't know if anyone's an actor.
Dude, you're going to piss off a lot of people because if you just had one day off and you auditioned and boom, you got something, they're like, you know how many times I'm auditioning?
I'm sorry, but so I get this audition and I'm at Barnes and Noble, right? So I'm looking through Backstage West. And I'm going, I want to be in a position where I can spend some time with my family, blah, blah, blah. I go to this audition. It was like, actually, before I went to the audition, I called my wife and I said, I have a feeling mind can conceive. If I go to this audition, I said, I'm going to get this. would you be up for moving to New York? Never heard of the show, like never like auditioned anything.
Right.
Would you be up for moving to New York? And of course, I'm like the entrepreneur guy, it's like, she's
Right.
always like, yeah, sure, whatever. Try. I'm like, no. If I go in here to this audition, I'm going to get this job. Would you be willing to move to New York? And she goes, yeah, sure, that'd be cool. I go, okay, cool. So now I can go into the audition because in my spirit, I was like, I'm getting this job. Rob, I go into this audition, literally like this didn't happen in life. I walk into the room. There's like maybe 2 other people I'm thinking, it's Rent. So there's going to be,
of course,
a line of people, whatever. I'm going to have to bring I walk into the audition. There were like 2 other guys. I hand it to the monitor, hand my picture and resume to the monitor because, you always travel with your picture and resume.
Right.
And they go, great. Can you go in about 10 minutes? I'm like, okay, sure. So I go to the car, warm up. I haven't even warmed up because I was thinking,
right.
It's going to be a line. I'm going to have like 30 minutes or 40 minutes to go warm up.
Typical. Exactly.
Right. So I go to the car, warm up for like 10 minutes or whatever. She says, can you be ready to go in 10 minutes? Come back in. She goes, we're ready to see you now. Literally as I walked in, I'm like, okay.
And just to know, so if you're not a singer or you haven't been in the audition space, 10 minutes is like a blip.
It's like
it
crazy.
Takes, it's really important in the list level of the craft that you're prepared.
Right.
When I go before I'm a voice actor, do lots of national commercials. And when I'm driving to a studio, well, that was probably before the pandemic, but when I used to drive to a studio, I'm doing my I'm warming up my voice and people look at me in the car.
Right.
10 minutes is not a lot of time.
No.
Like it's actually, it's not even good for your voice to do what you had to do in that amount of time.
Yeah, man. But it was just something that whisper that says, hey, you go in there, this is yours. So I walk in there, do the audition, sing, for the person. She keeps me after for movement. I'm like, this is really trippy because, I said it, but, usually you think,
right.
Even in yourself, you have a little bit of doubt. I mean, it's like, okay, but I just felt it in my spirit. Anyways, so I do the movement audition. I'm not really great at moving, but I can move a little bit. So I do the movement audition. She goes, great, we'll call you, in a couple months. I get in the car.
Exactly. And that's what it is. And and people, do your friends do the same thing? They're like, so how do you know if you got it? If they call. Right. And if they don't call and tell you didn't get it? No. If you hear from them, you got it. If you never hear from them, then you don't get it.
Right.
Like that's just the way it works.
100%. So funny story, man. Like, so after I get in the car, I go home. My wife was like, how was it? I was like, it was good. We'll see what happens. I get a call driving to, because I was working at Disney at the time. Okay. Driving to Disney, I get a call from a 212 number. Now I'm going to just put all my business out on the street right now. I see it's 212 New York, right? But at the time, I was pretty close to broke. Like no money. So when you're close to broke, you see strange numbers. You think, is this a bill collector? Is this like, if you don't have that experience.
Hello, is this Mr. Troy Horne? Please know that this call is recorded for quality. This call is being recorded. Yeah, exactly.
So I'm like sitting there. I'm like, I don't know this number. But then that same quiet voice that we all have says, answer the phone. Answer. So I answer it. And she goes, hey, this is Beth from Telsey. We'd like to know if you'd be interested in doing the tour. The Broadway show.
No, not interested. Not interested.
And I said, no, but if you have something that sits down, that'd be really cool. And she goes, like, sits down like what? This is what she said to me. I go, well, that stays in one place because I have a kid and I don't want to be on a tour. She goes, like the Broadway show? I go, yeah, sure, like the Broadway show. And she goes, okay, well then, thank you so much. We'll keep in touch and whatever. Blah, blah, blah. I hang up. And of course, all my friends are like, you're crazy. That's the way to get in.
Yeah.
I'm like, but I understand that, but that's not what I was supposed to be doing. I'm not supposed to be away from my family more.
Right.
So a couple weeks later, she calls back and she goes, the producers would like to see you. Literally like a couple weeks later, producers would like to see you in New York. Can you be here on such and such a date, which was 2 weeks away? Again, no money. But I was like, sure.
Right.
So I hop on the plane.
And so will you I'll look forward to the receipt of the email of booking of my airlines. Correct? It's like you got to do that assumptive close. Yes.
Yeah. So I booked it with Southwest, which was really cheap at the time. So that was really cool.
Want to get away?
Exactly. It was like really cheap back then.
Yeah. $29, maybe.
Something like that, right?
I know.
So I fly to New York like late at night, go land and get a gypsy cab because we had like little to no money.
Right.
Go straight to the
okay, what's a gypsy cab?
Okay, so that means like it's like back then they didn't have what is that, like
Uber or Lyft?
Uber, none of those. It was like yellow cab or people who just kind of like had their own cab and you gave them money.
Oh, that's so cool. So like pre-Lyft and pre-Uber.
Yeah.
And you're just like, and you hope that you're not going to go down a deserted road and they're just going to.
Right. 100%.
Wow.
So I'm like, so I'm in the, it was crazy. The guy drops me off, thank God, at the address. I go to the audition, which is in like some like weird rehearsal building in the back of nowhere. So I'm like, what's happening?
Right.
Go up the stairs, and inside there are 3 or 4 guys in the audition room, right? So I walk in there, I hear them like they are singing their
asses off.
Okay, great. I didn't know if we could do that. They're singing
I already said pissed, and so I can say ass. I think that's
singing their asses off. And I'm like, well, I mean, I can't do that, but I keep hearing the director say, can you give more feeling like you lost your lover, like like you're sad or whatever,
right?
And they're still singing and like
they were performing, and you needed to. They wanted someone to connect with the audience because Rent, if you're not familiar with it, which you should be, because it's incredible production. Even the movie's fabulous. It's a very serious conversation, and the one thing that I noticed, I never saw it on Broadway or even the Roadshow, but I did see the movie. And the one thing that I really loved about it was the emotion and the feeling. Like you can, when they're singing 5,200, 800 minutes, you can feel that.
Yeah. It's a real deal. Yeah. So I walk in there and I'm like, okay, I don't have those parts, but I can do the connection because I'm out here with no money.
You got a big heart, man. You're a hard guy.
Well, and I'm out here with like if this doesn't go, we're in some serious financial problems because we already were. Right. But now I've spent money on a ticket and I've got to get a hotel because my flight doesn't leave till the next morning. Money I don't have. So it's like it was real for me in those moments, the stress or whatever. I sing, they do the same thing, it's like, thank you so much, we'll let you know, blah, blah. I go to one of the worst hotels I've ever lived in my life. I mean, they had plexiglass before. This is like before the pandemic. It's like 90.
Was it per hour? You could rent it per hour.
No, I don't know, but I know they had plexiglass, and the guy took my money through a little thing there.
Oh my god!
So get on the plane next day, get back home, and I'm like, well, now we've got to recoup that money that we didn't have. That blah blah. 2 weeks later, I get a call, and it's the 212 number again. And she goes, I'd like to offer you a role in New York. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. And that's how we ended up, doing Rent on Broadway. Yeah, man.
That, I love that because one, it's so important to be present in the situation that you're in. So it's really interesting. And it come from abundance. Meaning, so I was just driving. I've had a national client for 9 years.
Nice.
As you know, I had a really stressful day today. I've been helping someone out. I've been driving and stuff, and everything didn't work today. Yeah. So I was already but I'm like very present. I'm all about abundance. And I got a call from my agent. So I auditioned for a big cereal company today.
Nice.
And I thought I killed it. And usually the only time my agent calls me, as you know, is one, you got a booking,
right.
Or two, dude, this audition sucks so bad. Can you redo it? That's kind of,
right.
And so I don't get a lot of those, but I'm just thinking, did I there's a lot of stuff going on. Maybe I was distracted. Maybe it wasn't what I was looking for.
Yeah.
And the first thing he goes, good news, bad news. And I go, I'm always leaning into the bad news first.
Bad news
I
first.
always want bad news. And he goes, it's really bad. And I'm like, I'm okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he goes, and he mentioned the client. He goes, yeah, that's over. And I go, oh, did they call? He goes, no, I just heard the new TV spots and it isn't you. And he says, the sad part is he's not better than you. He sucks. And I'm like, you know what?
Yeah.
Long run,
right.
It's okay.
Right.
Abundance.
Yeah, exactly.
All good. And, the point of this is that it's so important to stay in the very present moment and live in abundance and know that the universe really does provide.
Yes.
What a beautiful story of how you became on Broadway. I think that's a really rare story because most people audition all the time.
Yeah, I had a lot of friends that were telling me, they're like, that had auditioned for the show. They were like, when you turned on the tour, it's like, that was over. And I was like, well, it wasn't.
But you don't have to think that.
Yeah.
You can think that the universe is abundant.
Right.
And your team of angels behind you are always looking out for you if you pay attention.
You just got, pay attention, definitely.
And you don't get caught up in the story of, I got no money, so I can't do this.
Yeah. What's the saying? He said that the problem is never resources, it's always resourcefulness, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And, it's incredible that you did what you did. You had this supporting wife and you set your boundary and you took a stand. A lot of people thought you were crazy because you're not going to do the road show.
Right, right.
But my family is the boundary and that's my stand.
Right, right.
And out of abundance and being present and I trust.
Yeah.
I trust in my life. I trust in the universe and I trust in my abilities that everything's going to work out.
Yeah, yeah.
Everybody has ebbs and flows. And what happens is it's not that your life crashes to nothing. It's how you respond to the crash.
Right, right. Yeah. Yeah. What are you going to do? Yeah.
So tell me that moment when they say, so Troy, we'd like to offer you a role on Broadway in Rent.
Yeah.
What was that like? What did that feel like to you?
It was kind of surreal. I was like, because again, I had listened to that voice and gone in there. And then when it happened, I was just like, wow, this stuff really works. It's like if you, put your mind, your attention to it and you have a clear vision of what you want, it can actually happen. So anyways, it was very surreal. It was very awesome. I probably, pulled over and cried a little bit in the car.
Yeah.
Off the 101 or the 110 or wherever I was, then I called my wife and she was like, I think she was at lunch. I said, I said, like, call me back at lunch or whatever. Because I
remember that conversation we had about moving to New York?
Right.
We're moving to New York.
Yes, exactly. And she was like, what? I go, yeah. So we have to be out there in I think it was 2 to 3 weeks.
I take you for your word, wife. If you say we're moving to New York, we're moving to New York.
Yeah. So, it was quite an amazing experience. Yeah. It was really cool.
Did you, you talked about when you were in your music before that, and a lot of people move through life so fast, they're not present. They miss the moments. One of the things, I'm an ordained minister and I marry people and I love it. And the one thing that I do before I pronounce them as their communion, their husband and wife or wife and wife or husband and husband or however it is that I do it, I always tell them and I say, I want you to ignore everybody around you and just listen to my voice. I want you to turn and face each other. And I want you to breathe in. I want you to breathe out. I want you to look each other in the eye and savor this moment. Savor this moment. You guys have been moving so fast, preparing for this. And I don't want you to miss it. Because
Yeah.
in one split second, I'm going to pronounce you married,
Right.
and you'll never have this moment again. And if you blink, it's gone.
Yeah.
So just gaze at each other's eyes and breathe and feel the connection of your two souls uniting, because now you're one.
Yeah.
And they do that. And then I say, I now pronounce you husband and wife. And it's funny because people cry in so much in that spot because everybody then captures that moment. We miss the moments in our life.
Yeah.
And
Really do.
it's so important to not get caught up in the story of our life, but to really relish our journey. It's not the destination.
Right. Right. Yeah.
It's the journey.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I think it takes life to understand that. You have to live life to understand that it's not the destination. It definitely is the journey. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know how I got so blessed with being so present, probably because I had a near-death experience and now I'm very present.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think it's so important. And so many people have their life just blink of an eye and it's over. And it moves so fast.
Yeah.
So all these little moments of like when you have conversations with people, when you break bread with people, when you watch a movie together, when you go on a walk together, when you say goodnight to your spouse,
Yeah.
or your partner, or you look at your kids in the eyes, those are the moments that play back in your head.
Yeah.
I remember when I almost died that I've died almost a couple of times, but the one thing is that I remember is that the movies of my life, of all the moments, played for me. I played all those moments back. And that was the one thing that I regretted the most. It was like, oh crap, I'm not going to have more of these moments. It wasn't, I got a better job. It wasn't, I'll be more famous, more known, more crap, more bigger car, bigger house, none of this stuff. All that mattered was, am I going to see my friend Troy again? Am I going to be able to hug my daughter? Am I going to be able to hug my wife? Am I going to be able to, look at my friends and say, I feel so humbled to have you in my life.
Yeah.
And that's all that really matters, is being in flow in your life.
Yeah.
And really being connected to your life and the moments.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's funny because people are always, focusing on the other stuff. And I tell them exactly what you said. It's like having financial abundance or whatever. It's like, it's weird to say. It's cool. But like you said, the most important thing are those moments. It's like the rest is...
And I'm sure you have incredible moments, with your wife and your kids, but I know now, because you said you didn't really capture the moments for your recording career, that you remembered the first time you walked on stage. You remembered your first standing ovation.
Yeah.
You remembered like getting ready and putting on your makeup. You remember, the closing night. You probably could replay those in a split second in your brain.
Yeah. Yeah.
Life is
tearing up over here, man.
good. Life is so beautiful.
Yeah.
And it's so fragile. And it's such a gift, the moments. Like,
yeah.
I'm really thrilled that you had that experience. Like, it's amazing. And then, the thing is, with a lot of people, they don't realize this, especially actors, is that everything comes to an end. Like, the show comes to an end. Like when I do a campaign, a lot of people think that's a money train. It comes in forever. Those SAG checks keep coming.
Yeah. No,
eventually,
they come to the end. Yeah.
They just stop. They don't slowly dwindle away. They just on, off. As soon as it came in, as quick as it came in, it goes off.
Yeah.
So your show, you're like, it's over.
Yeah.
And then we're like, okay, now what?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what was that like?
Well, it's funny because at that moment I don't know, my whole life has just really been focused on more time with family. That has been my main focus. And at the time, it was like, I know it's going to sound weird, but I was doing the show, but I could never put my kid to bed. And I was like,
Yeah.
because we're performing every night. And so it's like, I want to go to even more time, spending more time with my family. And so at that moment, I was like, I want to become an entrepreneur and really help people who may not ever have this experience learn how to get to this experience. And so that was the next step in the journey. That was the next phase in the journey. I, told my, wow, man, John, I told my stage director, this is going to be, at the end of this contract, I'm going to, be done. And he looked at me like I was crazy. Like they look at all of us like we're crazy.
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly.
And we started that journey, on creating, an acting school that kind of helps people do that. And it kind of went into just helping people follow their dreams in general,
I love that. And one of the things you do is you really have a soft spot for young people.
Mm-hmm.
And, they're our future. Now, what part of the country you're in? You're where?
We're in Denver, in Colorado.
Okay, in Denver.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So tell me more about how you're working with young people.
So, it's interesting because, in that time, it's like I work with young people, kind of helping them reach either their goals, whether it's, whatever it is, content creation, sports, going after sports stuff, just getting their mental part right. And recently in doing that, a lot of the parents have come to me and said, hey, can you help me as well? So it's kind of become like a thing where it's, I do a kid section with my son, Silas. Currently I've done some stuff with my son, Moses, but I'm also doing, adult, like business coaching, kind of helping adults do the same thing. Just from people saying, hey, I see what you're doing and how you're helping my kid. Can you help me as well? So, so that's kind of like where we are, just kind of helping people put together action steps to reach their goals and dreams, because I don't want people to leave this planet, at least not having tried,
right.
to reach
so
their goals.
How do you coach someone to transform their mind to a position of listening where they can achieve whatever they can conceive?
Well, first
it's
thing,
not normal.
Yeah.
It's just not normal in our society to think that you get a happily ever after.
Yeah.
You just think, well, I want a happily ever after, but very few people believe in it.
Oh my gosh, right?
At all.
Right? The first thing is challenging. I don't even know where this came from, because I read all the time, but challenging those limiting beliefs, because oftentimes it's like, okay, so how is that true? What makes that true? Aside from someone said it, aside from you read it, someone, like, how is that true to you? And how do you know that you can't have whatever it is that you know? And now let's challenge that, and with facts, not with emotion, not with, well, my aunt or uncle or whatever said. Let's look at the actual facts, that we can both identify as facts and say, okay, well, if this person can do it and they have the same fit or whatever as you do, now tell me, based on facts, not on myth, why you can't.
And what's fascinating about that is that a lot of the times when people say they can't do something, it's not based on what others are saying.
Right.
It's what they're saying. It's that monkey brain going off, going, you can't do this. You can't do this.
100%.
And a lot of times it's not even, I have a friend that works with a lot of young people going into high school, then college, and then minor, and getting through the ranks of baseball.
Mm-hmm.
And these kids are superstars. Like some he owns a baseball team in San Diego that's a feeder team to get to the minors. They just feed teams.
Right.
And I'm like, I was in Little League and I thought I was pretty good, but man, I suck. Like these kids are so good.
Yeah.
And honestly, the majority of them, they're like, I could never, most of it's counseling for these kids. They don't even, they are so talented, and everybody around them is like spending money for training and resources and driving them everywhere and just kissing their ass and supporting them to be like incredible national league ball players. And they're like, yeah, I'm not gonna, and it's their brain.
It's them. Yeah. It's them doing it to themselves. Yeah.
Heartbreaking.
It's crazy. You know what's funny? Where did somewhere in here, I wrote a book specifically for that, as crazy as it sounds. And maybe, that could be something I can share with you off to help them, with that mindset, because.
Or you could tell me the book and then help everybody.
Oh, it's called Mental Toughness for Young Athletes. It's probably, all right. So this book has really been helping a lot of people. It's called Mental Toughness for Young Athletes. There's a kid version, and that's Moses, my son, on the cover. And then there's a parent version that you guys can find that kind of helps the parents. Because a lot of times what I found in that whole deal was that parents would then inject their limiting beliefs
absolutely
on their child. So that's why I was like,
absolutely,
you gotta read. Parents gotta catch up, so that they understand what they're doing with their kids. Anyways, it's helped a lot of people. I think there are something like 15 to 20,000 families that have gone through that book and whatever. So if that's something that would help them, I know that it'll help you all as well.
Absolutely. I'll put a link
Awesome.
in the show notes.
Cool.
So you'll be able to check that. Get it. I'm sure it's available on Amazon.
It is available on Amazon. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm sure. Is there an audiobook?
There is. Yeah. I read the audio for the parents, and Moses read the audio for the kids, because I was like, I want kids to hear a kid.
That's awesome.
Talking to them about it, and it's really helped them a lot. So, yeah.
That's fantastic. So you went on Broadway.
Mm-hmm.
You one pass audition, unbelievable, and turned down the road show.
But that's the mind, though, right, Rob? Like, that's the mind. It's like we are so limitless.
We are. We really, and that's, when I met you recently, and Troy and I became fast friends, and it's amazing because he and I were on the same wavelength, and just our conversation, and just like talking out of abundance, and talking out of like, you can have whatever you want. And, it's interesting because when you say you can have whatever you want, I personally don't need a $200 million house. Like, I just don't want that.
Right.
Like, I just don't.
Right.
And so, people are like, don't you want, I'm like, really? Yeah. The one thing that I want the most, more than anything in the world, is to be healthy. And I am working incredibly hard to be healthy. Like, I just went on a cruise.
Nice.
And let's see, I went on a cruise. I gained 4 pounds on the cruise, and I ate a lot. And now I'm back to what I was when I got on the boat today.
Nice.
And that was not even a week ago.
Yeah.
Like, that's amazing. Because what I did was I ate a lot, but I walked on that boat, and that ship, 4,000 people can get on that ship. It's 19 stories. And I couldn't believe how big it was, but I walked everywhere.
That's beautiful.
And no elevators for me, maybe once in a while.
Okay.
Maybe once in a while, because we had the muster drill, and we had to move swiftly from the 18th floor down to the 6th floor on the stairs. And I'm like, okay, we did that. And then we started going back up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, damn. I thought I was a little bit better shape. And so that motivated me. And so in the morning I was walking more. We got up and we walked in the morning, and a lot of people gorge themselves. I did. I had steaks and fillets and lobster, and I had avocado toast and ahi, and I ate a lot of food.
That's beautiful.
And I burned it up.
Yeah, man.
Because I want to stay healthy. It's not about what your body looks like. That's just the benefit of it, but to feel healthy. That's what I want is my health.
Health is so, it's more important than all the other stuff. 100%.
Because if you don't have health, It doesn't matter if you have a $250 million house.
Doesn't matter. Yeah. Doesn't matter. Yeah.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Do you have some action steps that people can take to achieve whatever they can conceive?
Yeah, it's funny because I was talking with a friend of mine today about this, and I think we get caught up in social media on, this person having way much. I think that the action step would be, one, start reading more books. Number two, just focus on the next goal, not the big, hey, I want to be whatever. Let's get our mind to start believe that we can get the next goal, because then we can see the next goal as opposed to trying to get to the big grand goal at the end. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. People talk about personal development books, which is so important to read. I know you're well read. I read all the time. If you just read 10 pages a day, and this is from the Miracle Morning, Hal talks about this in the morning, your morning ritual. If you read 10 pages a day, you're reading 3,000. How many? I don't even know. How many days in it is 365?
Right. So we're at.
So 3,650 pages of personal development. Imagine what your life would be like.
It's a game changer
if you did that.
Yeah, it's a game.
Because your mind sucks all that in. And by the way, audiobooks work. Just so you know, I know 75 Hard. Look, 75 Hard says you can't listen to audiobooks. Audiobooks work. As an audiobook narrator of 34 books, I'm telling you, audiobooks are incredible.
That's mostly all I do. I buy this and then I listen and flip as the person's reading.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the power of audiobooks is that, whether it's a narrator such as myself, I'm bringing those words to life.
Yeah.
I think hearing it, and you can follow along because they do that. You can read it on Kindle at the same time.
Yeah.
That gets into your brain. That gets into your DNA.
Yeah.
But personal development, I love that you said about that. And, being present.
Yeah. All this stuff changed. My life changed, man, when I was maybe 28, 29. And that was the first time I'd ever heard of personal development in my entire life. Never heard of it before.
Wow.
Yeah. Lost my car was repossessed. I had no job. I was in the normal thing of, it's everyone else's fault. No one that's helping me, blah, blah, blah. On the ground.
Woe is me.
Yeah. My wife, her uncle had given her Think and Grow Rich on audio cassette. That's
love. Yeah.
Changed.
Napoleon Hill, baby.
Changed my life. I was like, wait a minute. I'm in control? Wait. I can change my thoughts. Wait, what? Where has this been?
So I'm gonna. Most people don't know that Napoleon Hill was absolutely incredible and way before his time.
Yeah.
So not only he's world renowned for Think and Grow Rich, he's still a bestseller, still massively, but he has two other books. One's called Grow Rich, with Peace of Mind, and The Master Key to Riches. And the reason I know that is because I just discovered I did an audiobook. And they were audiobooks and they were on cassette.
Yeah, man.
Back in the 90s, I just discovered they are selling my book on Audible that I don't get any royalties on. But it's that. And it's funny because it was back done in 1993. My voice sounds a little bit different. But what's really cool about these books is that I didn't even know who Napoleon Hill was back then. But I really got his spirit and essence. And if you listen to it, I picked up his cadence of what he sounds like. I produced it back in the 90s. And what's cool about it is I had the idea and I told them I had this raw footage of Napoleon Hill because it was the Napoleon Hill family that gave me it. They wanted me to listen to it.
Oh, wow.
I dropped in bits of pieces of Napoleon Hill talking in the book. So it's not only me, but it's Napoleon Hill, and he talks really fast, and his cadence is a certain way.
But I kind of riches. Yeah.
Exactly. I channeled Napoleon Hill.
That's beautiful.
And the Master Key to Riches is not about money. It's relationships. Grow rich of abundance, of peace of mind. It's not the rich money.
Yeah.
And Think and Grow Rich is not about wealth.
Yeah.
It's about abundance in your life
Yeah.
that's not monetary.
Yeah.
However, when you have that peace of mind and you have that calm and you have that sense of abundance, you may, think and grow rich. Well, that's great. You're rich in spirit and abundance, but because of that, the universe provides.
Yeah. 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 It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. I mean, reading these books, it's a game changer. You have to.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You have to.
Troy.
Yes, sir.
You're a game changer, man.
Oh.
Thank you so much for being here today.
Well, thank you for having me. This has been absolutely amazing. That's been really cool. That's been very cool.
Yeah, I'm going to put this out. This is going to come out very fast because I really, really enjoyed our conversation.
Nice.
Absolutely. Thank you, my friend.
Please let me know.
I really appreciate you being here. And thank you so much for your support and taking time out of your busy and precious day to listen to Life Transformation Radio. I so appreciate it. Thank you for allowing me, along my very special guest, Troy Horne, to touch your heart, move your soul, teach you, inspire you to live a life of transformation. I'm Rob Actis. Until next time.
This is Life Transformation Radio. Download complete.